Welcome to Studio B at Sync Sound in Manhattan. Sync Sound's been around for 25 years now. We're an audio post facility specializing in audio for television, features, CDs, and what all of our clients have in common is that they demand high quality audio. Luckily, we've had the first in many of our ventures over the 25 years. We had one of the first digital mixing consoles. We worked on one of the first high-def features, and we had many of the first digital audio products. I was first introduced to TC Electronics with a 5000 and a finalizer, and I knew right from there that these were really high-quality products made by people who knew what they were doing, made for people that they really knew how to address. We migrated from the 5000 to the 6000. Now we have the latest generation 6000, the Icon MK2. It's got all the features you're used to from the old 6000 with a lot of new stuff, including the radar. What do you want this product for? Well, the same thing you want: VU meters, peak meters, the jellyfish, and of course your ears. Unfortunately, a lot of what we have to do, mixers of television shows, is to police sound. We have to make sure our clients don't ask for everything louder and louder, and the network asks for everything under more and more control. We want to deliver within spec the artistic intention of the clients. And these products, VU meters included, and jellyfish, but especially the radar, allow you to do that and really have a handle on what you're doing. We are restricted by certain things, and we always have been, by dynamic range and by broadcast capabilities, and now with what a lot of people call dial norm and that target that we're searching for. I've always been a strong believer that in a fixed monitoring level, you really don't need a lot of those things. But what they do, it's like the speedometer on your car. You think you're going 55? This lets you know that you're going 55 without finding out the hard way. Who am I and what do I do? I'm one of the owners of Sync Sound along with my partner Bill Marino, and I'm a mixer and editor. I have been always a mixer and editor for many years. Shows I've worked on range from the first season of Pee-wee's Playhouse to now the Metropolitan Opera, Barbara Walters. Other shows produced here are 30 Rock. We do a series called What Not to Wear. It's been done a couple of hundred episodes of that. We do a little bit of everything, literally a little bit of everything. We have 5 rooms set up for 5.1, and all of them need metering like this. So speaking of high quality audio, I think one of the most demanding clients that I have is the Metropolitan Opera. New York Metropolitan Opera is probably the most famous opera in the world, and that really says a lot. They have the best people, not only on stage, but backstage, and putting it all together. I work with a fellow by the name of J. David Sachs. He's the audio producer. I've worked with him for a good 25 years. In that time, we've worked on an enormous amount of material. And in that time, we've gone through various types of reverbs. Well, there was a sort of a benchmark at the time, and that was the 224X Lexicon product. Well, when we redesigned our facility, I really wanted to go to something better because I had heard Steve Strasberg had introduced me to the TC Electronics, says you really need to hear this. Got the 5000. Jay heard it and said, this sounds great. None of the artifacts that I dislike about other reverbs are in there. Long story short, we migrated over to the 6000 when the Met rebuilt their facility where they do all the live broadcasts from for Sirius and for radio and for television and also the things that go to the theater. That's all now equipped with the 6000 because they wanted that same high quality that they were used to hearing in the post there in their live situation. And they don't, anybody in broadcast knows you need 2 of everything. Well, they only run 1 of those, and they've never had a problem with it. As you know, it is really well-made stuff inside and out. So with the advent of, we've obviously mixed stereo for many years, but with the advent of 5 5.1, TC was, I think, the first to even come close to satisfying the requirement for 5.1 reverbs. Not only did they sound good, but they were very flexible. The user could go in and do many things, or use presets. You know, well, boatload of presets, some designed by themselves, some designed by the best people in the business, let's face it. But you really had control over it. You weren't at the mercy of a few dial-ups or a few switches, and they all sounded great. And when people, 10, 12 years ago, were deciding how should you even do reverb, should I put reverb on the voice in the middle, should it be wrapping around, they were the people who came up with the answers to even allow you to experiment with that stuff. At that same time, they came up with some tools called Unwrap, because not everything was in 5.1, nor could you have the opportunity to get the sources. And their Unwrap stuff still sounds great. It's one of a bag of tricks that we go to. They're not the only one, but their stuff is, again, a staple of the business. And that's something about the whole line of the TC stuff for the professional, is that when you buy something from TC Electronics, it's going to work out of the box, and it really does work. And you're going to get upgrades. You're not going to pay through the nose for the upgrades. They're going to be reasonable, and they're going to be worth it, too. I mean, the unit that we have is, I've been very fortunate to have a good relationship with them, and it's loaded with all the goodies. And we have fun playing with them all, from the delays to the pitch shift is amazing. Whenever you need to do 8 channels of pitch shift, synchronous pitch shifting, and to sit there and slide it for an effect, or to have to transfer a classical music concert and make sure that the pitch is correct, you can really rely on the box. It is one of the few pieces of hardware, outboard gear, what we would call outboard gear, that we still use today. And I can't say that about anything else. But speaking of that, we have, just because affordability, we run Pro Tool systems and all. We have 12 rooms and a mixing theater. We run plugins, TC-based plugins, either for verbs. Unwrap, still very popular. The Unwraps, can't beat them. And believe me, we've tried the other ones. We've tried them all, and these are still the best sounding, the most transparent, and they work. And I guess that's the goal of people in post-production, is to throughput product. Inevitably, we're supposed to get a show on such and such a date. And unfortunately, that calendar gets squeezed, but the show's still on the air. 30 Rock's going to be on the air when a TV guide says it's going to be. When your channel guide said it's going to be on the air, that's when it's on the air. But we might not get it until literally days before instead of weeks before, like we should. And that's not a knock on them, that's just the reality of it. But you need reliable products like this, that every time you turn it on, it's going to work. And it's going to sound good. And your client's not going to say, it sounds a little ratty. What are we using? What is that? And due to the nature of our business here at Sync Sound, we work with just about everybody you can imagine, from high-end, very discriminating classical producers to a person who probably does maybe 1 film a year. They develop a film, they write a film, they pitch it, it gets shown on HBO or PBS, but it's really their life work. They've invested in it personally and financially, and they depend on us to give them the best product. They're not necessarily a music person who understands how to talk in the language of audio and sound, but they know what they like, and they know when things sound good, because they're really a consumer.